In today's lesson, we'll be learning about the equation of a quadratic relation in standard form. This is standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. A represents the coefficient of x squared, b represents the coefficient of x, and c represents a constant. We're going to learn how this equation relates to the properties of a quadratic relation. Let's first determine some properties of a quadratic relation. If you recall, 4 and -2 down here would be the vertex. Positive 3 and positive 5 would both be the x-intercepts, and positive 15 would be a y-intercept. The parabola is also opening upwards, which means it looks like a smile. Looking back at standard form, the coefficient of a tells you the direction of opening. A positive value means that it's opening upwards, and a negative value means it's opening downwards. Since this parabola is opening upwards, I'm just going to put a plus sign over here to indicate that the a value should be positive. We will learn later how to determine the exact a value. The coefficient of b doesn't really tell us any useful information, while the constant c does tell us the y-intercept. Since the y-intercept is positive 15, I'm just going to place that number right over here. This would be the approximate equation in standard form. The coefficient of a is positive, meaning the parabola is opening upwards, and the c value, the constant, is positive 15, which means the y-intercept is 15. In our next example, let's first start by identifying properties of this quadratic relation. -3 and 25 is the vertex, positive 10 is the y-intercept, and both -8 and positive 2 are the x-intercepts. If you recall, the coefficient a represents the direction of opening. If this value is positive, the parabola is opening upwards, and if it's negative, it's opening downwards. Since this parabola is opening downwards, that means the a value has to be negative. I'm just going to put a little negative sign to indicate this value should be negative. However, we will learn later how to find the exact value. The coefficient b doesn't really tell us anything useful, so we're going to skip it for now. And the constant of c tells us the y-intercept. Since the y-intercept is positive 10, I'm just going to write positive 10 right over there. The approximate equation of this quadratic relation turns out to be y equals -x squared plus bx plus 10. The coefficient of a is negative, which means it's opening downwards, and the constant c is positive 10, which means the y-intercept is positive 10.